Hi, I'm Daniel Dietz. I'm a physical therapist with Three-Dimensional Physical Therapy. Today I'm with Tyler Williams. We're here just to kind of talk about his story and his journey to the U.S. Olympic trials. So could you tell me a little what brought you here and your journey through DPT?
Sure. So I've been training, trying to be a professional hammer thrower since I graduated college in 2015. And I suffered a back injury in 2021, an L5-S1 disc herniation. Um, I met Dan kind of half bent over, trying to do an assessment here. I couldn't touch my toes. I had surgery, I think, a couple weeks later. Um, and then once I was cleared for physical therapy, Dan uh, we jumped right in and started my recovery process. Um, I think I got cleared and I took my first throws in July of 2021 and I've been training ever since. And was fortunate enough to have qualified for the 2024 Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon. So that's where our goals are set this year. Hopefully we can make a team.
Sweet. Now we're all very excited for this trip, but selfishly, I'm just curious: is there any memorable exercises in here, or training patterns that we had in here that are either loved or despised still to this day, a couple years out? Any insight you have, we appreciate it.
I wouldn't say anything I despise. I think there's definitely humbling moments because I would have considered to have like a pretty strong core. And then when you come here and you almost have to flip the script and it's not about explosion, it's a lot about stability. There's like, we're doing exercises like bear crawls or open books or doing something where I have to hold certain positions for long periods of time and you start shaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty humbling. As far as exercises I loved, I specifically remember we made up one where I had to balance on my knees on the Bosu ball, and you put like a weight. I think you used tape on the end of a stick to try to mimic a hammer wind. So I was winding while balancing on the Bosu ball. I also actually really enjoyed the reaction drills where you're throwing the ball on the little mini trampoline and you had to catch it while balancing on one foot. That was probably one of my favorites as well.
Gotcha. What got you into hammer throw? Where did that all start?
So I started right in college. In high school, I was like kind of a discus thrower, but I wasn't too serious. And when I got to college, the coach there at the time just put everybody through like a hammer 101 crash course. And I just kind of liked it right off the bat. And there was a little bit of chirping back and forth with the teammates. I was a little bit smaller back then. So they tell you can't do it. So I'm just kind of like, watch me. So I just found a love for it. I liked the working hard, the challenging nature of it, constantly, trying to figure out ways to get better, and really just became passionate about it relatively quickly.
Now, Tyler, could you remind me a little bit like about your injury and the actual process of coming in here and what that felt like?
So the injury, as I mentioned, L5-S1 disc bulge right into the sacral nerve root. I couldn't stand up. It was so bad. All of the typical alleviations exercises they tell you to do, like, lay on your back, try to put your feet up on a couch. I couldn't lay on my back. I couldn't lay on my stomach. The only time I really felt relief was if I sat in like a full depth squat, hunched over. So I had some X-rays, and then the MRI, it showed the disc was kind of folded over my S1 vertebrae. And so surgery, I think, was probably my only option because of how bad it was bulged. And then when we came in here, started working post-surgery, it honestly felt pretty weird to be able to stand up, I would say. After not doing it for so long, I remember getting off the hospital bed feeling like I was 6'5", which I'm not, unfortunately. And then really just hit the physical therapy here with you and hit the ground running. The recovery I really enjoyed. You're creating things on the spot that challenge me because you understood that my goal wasn't just to return to normal life, which I really appreciated. You understood that I was trying to be an elite athlete, and I really felt like you took the time and invested in my recovery as much as I was.
Thank you. That's really nice. I appreciate that. Was there ever a concern that you may not return to your sport?
Definitely early on. Like I remember I'm in training. I feel really good. I was throwing my best marks ever. And then this injury happens and you kind of like, you just get plummeted into all the catastrophic thinking and you're panicking. So, I'm like, oh no, my season's over. I wasn't thinking long-term at that point. Will I ever be able to do it again? But once the dust settled a little bit and it had been, a month or two not standing up straight, there was a lot of uncertainty there. My goal then became to, try to be as normal as possible and hopefully we can get good afterwards. But what I think switched my mindset was understanding that a lot of professional athletes had similar injuries, like J.J. Watt, Tiger Woods. A lot of these guys had not only just one, but multiple bulges or something that has gone wrong with their discs and have come back to be competing at world-class levels. So I gained a lot of confidence there. And then I feel like I was recovering pretty quickly here with you as well. So feeling stronger, all that stuff kind of built my confidence slowly over time.
Do you remember your first throw after your rehab? Like when you were first cleared, like how'd that feel like?
It felt terrible because I was throwing a light ball.
Sure.
Competition weight is 16 pounds. I was throwing a 12-pound ball. It felt like a 20-pound ball, and I felt like I was turning in sand. So it felt really heavy and slow, and I just was like, okay, at least I can start. It's, everybody got to start somewhere, and as long as I just try and stay healthy and stay smart, hopefully it's like, like riding a bike. It'll come back quicker than it took to get there.
Sure. Could you go into, I guess, your process into throwing? Like, what are your benchmarks in knowing if a throw is going to be successful, if it's going to be quality? Like, what do you know internally that kind of is your pressure gauge for those things?
So I'd say, as far as training is concerned, it's all about what feels good. It's not really necessarily I need to throw a certain distance to know I'm going to do good in a meet. I just try to hit good technical positions, make it feel easy. And if I hit, whatever distance and it gets easier and easier, I know that I'm progressing. And then when I get to the meet, you can tell pretty quickly, usually like your first, sometimes when you pick up the hammer, if it feels nice and light, you're kind of like, all right, let's go. Or you take your first warm-up throw and it just feels like, it's like called connection. It's everything you're doing. It feels easy. You feel quick. You're snappy. You don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. So if you get that type of feeling, then it's going to be a good day. There's certain things I look for in the throw, like, just to be balanced. There's some things I'll do in my head, like beforehand, one or two things, like, all right, I want to do this and this. And that usually relates back to what we're doing in training. I'm thinking of a couple things to put me in a position so I can move well. But when it comes to competition, it's actually very simple. You don't want to think too much, so you can allow your body to react to all the positions, and you really just get it started and then let it develop, work with the ball, so to speak. And as soon as you release one that's good, every single time, pretty much.
Cool. So, what does a week look like for you, and how do you dose your training, your throwing, your work, your family, all that, if you don't mind?
So I work full-time as an engineer for the Navy. I've been doing that since I graduated college. I guess this will be year 9, and I train 6 days a week. Full-time training is, I would say, anywhere between 15 to 20 hours a week. I split. I do 3 throwing days and 3 lifting days, alternating every other day, and I do my best to try and stick to that as consistent as possible. Balancing right now is fairly easy. It was pretty difficult when I started because you're just not used to working all day, and you kind of like, you have to get used to mental burnout from your job, even though I'm not like doing physical work. If you're not like taking care of how much you're stressing your mental, it will bleed over to your physical. So once I balanced that, it got a lot more manageable. There's still definitely tough days if I'm required to do overtime or something out of the ordinary happens and I have to move training around. That happens all the time. It's just trying to stay as consistent as possible. Definitely shout out to my wife, Allison. She's my number one supporter for sure.
Yeah.
Through thick and thin, laying with me on the floor from the first time I had the injury to my sitting in the hospital bed with her there. all the meets. She sacrificed a lot so I can do this too. Like, we don't go out during the week. We sacrifice some of those times going to the bars and happy hours and stuff like that to continue to work towards this goal. And I'll
Mhm.
be like forever grateful for her for that. And then that extends to her family and my family as well. You know, even if they're just asking how you're doing or
Mhm.
how's throwing and everything, it gives you that sense of like some other people believe in you. And
I always will remember you walking in through those doors. You were like the hunchback. You were like this, and um, for me, I'll always remember like your posture walking in here. And I was like, who is this man, and what is his dream of throwing hammer for the Olympics? I think you told me that like the first day we met. I was like, I don't know. um, so seeing you go through the surgery, the rehab, and then kind of resuming all of your training and practicing, um, your determination, your desire to achieve your goal is something really impressive. And I really wish you the best of luck. The whole 3D wishes you the best of luck. So we're cheering you on, and we
thank you.
can't wait to see you in Oregon.
Thank you. I would like to say anyone who is looking to have some sort of physical therapy work, I would highly recommend 3D PT. Obviously, I'm biased for this location, but I think I mentioned it before. Um, the interest and attention to detail that you put on my recovery. I don't remember if you ever heard of hammer throw, but if you did, it was very limited knowledge. You did research on the outside and created your own exercises, looked up more difficult exercises to allow me to get back to not where I was, but even better. And I'll be eternally grateful for that. So I think any athlete, especially who is maybe coming off injury or needs some sort of physical therapy, I'd highly recommend the services at 3D PT because
Thank you.
you guys are invested in helping athletes continue to be athletes, which I appreciate.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.